We're going to turn our attention to the international newspapers now. Florence Villeminot is here on set with us. You're starting with the ongoing violence in Syria, aren't you? A piece by the Russian analyst in China Daily.
That's right. His name is Dmitri Trenin. He's the director of the Carnegie Moscow Center, and he has a piece in China Daily called International Diplomacy's 11th Hour. And he points out that as Syria is descending into civil war, there are two rival concepts of global order that are clashing at the United Nations Security Council. So on the one hand, you have the United States, France, and Britain, who are for democratic change across borders. And on the other side, you have China and Russia, who are for international stability based on state sovereignty. And he points out that these five powers have been entrusted with a special responsibility for world peace. And if they don't find a solution in Syria, not only is the country going to descend into wholesale carnage, but the prospect for future conflict management will also be more bleak. And there's another interesting piece in the Israeli press this time, Yediot Aharonot, that looks at what a post-Assad Syria would look like. And this article says, prepare for Syria chaos. It predicts that war won't stop if Assad goes. And it says that the day after Assad may see civil war between sects as Alawites fight for their lives against the Sunni majority. And it points out that the Alawites are already starting to talk about the option of withdrawing into their own autonomous area.
No, different, less serious story, perhaps, the Olympics. But the game's starting in just a few days. And for many, it's not just about fun. It's also about business starting in the UK.
That's right. This is on the front page of The Independent. It says, ministers line up to lobby for Olympic billions. Now, it says that government ministers have been ordered to use the London Olympics as a charm offensive and to bid for deals with diplomats and businessmen from rich nations that are attending the game. And The Independent has a list of 50 specific multi-billion-pound global investment projects that British firms want in on. For instance, in the United Arab Emirates, there's a £13 billion project to build a 1,200-kilometre rail network. The UK wants in on that. There are also projects for building airports in Kuwait, Beijing, as well as all sorts of other projects from Australia to Brazil to Japan.
Okay, and speaking about the Olympics, quite an interesting piece, actually. This is in Gulf News about Saudi Arabia's decision to allow women athletes to participate in the Games. This follows in the footsteps of Qatar and Brunei.
That's right. Gulf News, first of all, applauds this, as it's a remarkable achievement. This is a historic for the Olympics and a breakthrough for Saudi Arabia. But it points out that these athletes are actually a tree that hides the forest. And that's the fact that there are millions of Saudi girls that are banned from doing sports in Saudi Arabia. Now, especially poor Saudi girls, because they don't have access to private health clubs where sometimes women are allowed to play sports. And this article points out that this is a health risk because 44% of Saudi women are obese, according to a 2011 Gallup study. And sticking to the Olympics, there's an interesting piece in The Independent. Did you know that Mitt Romney has a horse?
He has a horse?
He has a horse named Rafalka. It's qualified for the Olympics, and it will represent the U.S. in dressage. Now, he bought this horse for $100,000 in 2006, so it's not likely to burnish his man of the people qualifications. He'll be in London for the opening ceremonies where he will meet David Cameron.
Excellent. Okay, and speaking of Romney, a shark Alausat wonders, what if he wins? Presumably not with his horse, but in politics.
In the elections, exactly. Yeah. Maybe he will win with his horse. That's another story. Now, a shark Alausat points out that given the recent polls, the fact that Mitt Romney is rising in popularity, Arab states need to start thinking about just what would happen if pro-Israeli Romney wins the presidential election. It says it examines major issues that will come to the fore if he gets elected. For instance, the issue of Iran, Israel, and the Palestinian state.
And finally, US Boy Scouts getting quite a lot of criticism. They've reaffirmed ban on gays after a secret 2-year review.
That's right. It's drawing a lot of criticism, including from within the organization. And there's an interesting piece in the Christian Science Monitor that points out that there seems to be this movement towards more inclusion of homosexuals in the United States. For instance, President Barack Obama said he was in support of gay marriage. Don't ask, don't tell was repealed. The Christian Science Monitor wonders if the Boy Scouts of America are out of step with their time and, in fact, their own principles. And they quote a critic that says the Boy Scouts of America are on the wrong side of history.
Florence Villeminot with the latest from all the international newspapers here on France 24. Here's the headlines then. Syria's rebels vowing to fight